everyone, welcome to Chrissy's Books. I am your girl Chrissy. Thank you so much for tuning into my book review. So for this week I have a really fun celeb book, and it is Whiskey in a Teacup: What Growing Up in the South Taught Me About Life, Love, and Baking Biscuits by Reese Witherspoon. So I really adore Reese Witherspoon a lot. She just seems like a really lovely person inside and out. I have also watched a lot of her movies, and I really love her work ethic and her inclusion in featuring female authors in her book club, Reese Witherspoon's book club, or Reese's book club I think it's called, and also definitely follow that on Instagram. So I just really love her, and I'm also watching her show, The Morning Show, which I'm just in love with at the moment. So it was only fitting that I eventually, read her book, Whiskey in a Teacup. So this nonfiction read came out in 2018, and it's literally been on my list for the longest time, but I do eventually get through my reading list. Sometimes it just takes a little while. Let's get into what this fun, quirky book is all about. Academy Award-winning actress, producer, and entrepreneur Reese Witherspoon invites us into her world where she infuses the Southern style, parties, and traditions that she loves with contemporary flair and charm. This book is an in-depth look into why Reese Witherspoon is the way she is. She is a Southern woman, and it truly reflects in her mannerisms, her charm, her hair, and even the way that she talks. In this book, she shares the joys of Southern living and shows us that she truly takes the South with her wherever she goes. It's reflected in how she entertains, in how she decorates her home, and makes holidays special for her kids. She tells us about her beloved grandmother, Dorothea, who has been a big influence in Reese Witherspoon's life. This book is also filled with tips on Southern living, delicious recipes passed down from her family and friends, and so much more on the how-tos for Southern living. Reese Witherspoon's grandmother, Dorothea, always said that a combination of beauty and strength made Southern women whiskey in a teacup. We may be delicate and ornamental on the outside, but she said, inside we're strong and fiery. So that is what this fun read is all about. Stay tuned. When I come back, I'm going to give you my review, and I'm going to give you my rating, and I'm going to give you my song pick, which is a fun one for Whiskey in a Teacup. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned. So let's get into my review for Whiskey in a Teacup. So how could I not love this book? I mean, it's Reese Witherspoon. I feel like it's impossible to not like this person. She literally has all the charm you could ever want in a person. I actually decided to listen to the Audible for this book because it was narrated by Reese Witherspoon herself. So if you're thinking of reading this book, I definitely would give the audiobook a go because it was really fantastic. And it also helps that she's an actress. So her voice was really animated and just really shown through in the audiobook and everything that she tells you about. For me, it was a really perfect book to listen to like while you're cleaning or like while you're making dinner. It's a very light listen, and I just really love her accent and her voice, so it was a really enjoyable listen for this book. In Whiskey in a Teacup, Reese Witherspoon literally gets into what Southern living is all about. So if you are a person who lives in the South or who loves Southern culture, then you're really going to enjoy this book, and you're gonna love it actually. Even if you're not familiar with Southern culture like myself, then you'll learn a whole lot about how everything operates in the South, and it was actually quite informative. Like, I've definitely been to like Nashville, and I've been to a lot of the Southern states, but I learned quite a lot while reading this book. I will say that this book is definitely not a self-help book, and also Reese says it herself in like the intro. It's definitely more of a sort of how-to Bible on Southern living, and it's filled with cozy and comforting recipes that Reese Witherspoon makes on the regular. I especially like that she put her grandma's fried chicken recipe in it too, and she throws all kinds of like fun tips about how to entertain guests, the do's and don'ts of hosting a party, and even talks about how Southern women live their day-to-day lives, how-tos on hair, makeup, how to dress, how to give great gifts, and just covers everything there is to know about Southern living and like all the how-tos. I especially really liked the sections where she delves into everything to do with Nashville. I mean, that's where she's from, by the way, Nashville, Tennessee. And I really enjoy Nashville culture, and I even watched the whole show Nashville. Nashville is a really fun city. Highly recommend for you to go there if you haven't been yet. And when she's sort of describing Nashville, it just really feels like you're like there in the city. And I just really loved about how she tells us Nashville's rich history with music, culture and traditions, values, and so much more. I also especially loved how she covered Nashville's contributions to the civil rights movement, and you can tell that she's definitely an advocate for equal rights among all people, which is one of the reasons why I really like Reese Witherspoon as a person. And after reading this book, you'll get a pretty good sense of who she is and what she values in life, definitely, like after reading this book. I would say that if you are quite a feminine or feminine person, then you will really like this book. I will say that for me, I did find the book to be a little bit too feminine or a little too traditional in gender roles for me. But also the book was just like really charming in itself, and I kind of was like, whatever. It was just such a cute read. So you know, low disclaimer there. That's just kind of how I felt when I was reading the book. So with all that said, let's get into my rating for Whiskey in a Teacup. So for this book, I gave Whiskey in a Teacup a rating of 8 out of 10. So 8 out of 10 basically means that this book was just a solid book. It was a good read. It was a great read. And I would definitely recommend it. And yeah, it was just an overall good read and I enjoyed it. And if I could describe this book with 4 words, they would be, I'm just going to read my little notes here, charming. Obviously. This book has a lot of Southern charm and sayings, and there's huge amounts of Nashville, like cozy touches, lots of history, Nashville history, Southern hospitality. It's definitely a must-read for Southerners or people who are interested in Southern culture. The second word is lighthearted, and that's because this book was really just fun to listen to. It's a really great book to give to friends as a gift, especially friends that like to, or people that like to entertain or host parties, you know, people who are socialites, that kind of thing. It's just a really good book to have in the house and just have it on your coffee table. And it's a book that can be read by everyone, you know. I feel like anyone can read this book. And also it's really awesome for people who love food, because there's like a bunch of recipes in here that you can get stuck into and start, you know, experimenting on. So yeah, definitely a light-hearted read. The third word is whimsical. This book was just really, really funny. It was delightful. It was quirky, very, very much Reese Witherspoon. And the audiobook was just really fun and animated to listen to. So yeah, just a really whimsical Reese type of read. And then the fourth word, last but not least, is feisty. Reese Witherspoon is a firecracker. I mean, I feel like all the characters that she plays in her films are quite fiery, and she actually is like that. So yeah, she's a very confident, very strong, you know, amazing feminist, and I really like that about her, and I love that she's an activist, and it definitely shines through in this book. And yeah, she just always has like a can-do attitude, very like go get 'em tiger, and it definitely shines through in the way that she was raised, and she tells you all about that, and in her values and everything. So yeah, definitely a feisty read too. Whiskey in a Teacup, right? So all in all, just to wrap up this book review, this book is a perfect book to give to friends as a gift. It's a perfect book for people who love Southern culture, people who value family and traditions, Southern music, people who love to entertain. And all in all, it was actually simply just a charming read. It's not like a majorly deep or heavy book to read at all, but I think that's what I liked about it. It was just quite like a nice, light, fun book to read, and it's exactly what I needed. So I really enjoyed it. I would definitely highly recommend for you to get the physical book for this book, because simply there are recipes in the book, and you kind of just want to look at them and make whatever it is that she's advising in that. So yeah, definitely get yourself the physical book. And I love listening to the audiobook as well. It was really great. She has a very, very charismatic voice and accent, and I definitely like Reese Witherspoon way more after reading this book. So let's get down to the song pick for Whiskey in a Teacup. I pretty much knew, even when I was reading this book, before I read it probably, who I wanted the artist to be. And I mean, it's going to be Dolly Parton, because Reese Witherspoon is obsessed with her. She loves Dolly Parton. Actually, right now, she just collaborated with Dolly Parton's recent book that's going to be turned into either a movie or a show or something. I can link that book below if you want to check it out. So like, I just feel like they have a really strong relationship, and Dolly's from the South, like, come on. So yeah, it was just really hard for me to pick the actual song, because Dolly Parton has so many amazing songs about the South and about country living and all that. But I did actually pick a song, obviously. So I chose this song because I feel like this song is very, very Southern. It's very charming, and it captures the essence of this book, which is, Nashville, Tennessee, right? And family, tradition, home, all that kind of like coziness that you get from the South. And the song is My Tennessee Mountain Home. It's such a charming song. Definitely listen to it. I'm going to link a really fun video of a very, very young Dolly Parton with like all the hair, and she's just, I love Dolly Parton. She's awesome. So yeah, so thank you so much for watching my book review. Feel free to comment. Let me know what you thought about this book, and I cannot wait to release my next book review. Thank you, and have a great week.